check whiteboard. So first I want to let's understand this concept of consciousness. This consciousness is a very profound thing. Once you understand this, there are a lot of things will make sense. So let's try to understand what this consciousness is. Right? So now look at this blank paper, right? And when you look at this paper, I mean, think of this as the overall, the infinite consciousness. Now on this infinite consciousness, what we have is this aware consciousness. If I have to draw this aware consciousness, sorry, I should have chosen the green one. When we think of this aware consciousness, the green one. So this is my aware consciousness. And there is an infinity of consciousness above, and there is an infinity below. And this infinity below is the subconsciousness. And the infinity above is the supraconsciousness. So this is the supraconsciousness. Now, if you want to understand the subconsciousness, subconsciousness is all past. If I have the ability to go through the subconsciousness, I can go all the way to the beginning of the creation. I can go all the way to the beginning of the creation. That is the subconsciousness. So typically in sleep, we are always going into the subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind, when it is distorted, is what is resulting in all dreams and everything else. So all past is subconsciousness. Correct? So now if you ask what is past? So if I say now, can you think of a now? The moment I say now, it has already become the past. So the continuous now is the past. And so that means if this is my aware consciousness has to be there, and this aware not consciousness is not in the subconsciousness, that means this aware consciousness is constantly moving above. And as it is moving, everything else is becoming subconsciousness. Do you agree? I mean, logically speaking, as this consciousness is moving up, everything is so. Now, if you kind of look at it from a very time-bound sense, correct? So this is always moving. This aware consciousness is always moving, but the length, the width of the aware consciousness, the layer of the aware consciousness remains the same, but it is moving. So it is moving and thinking or becoming aware. What is this moving plus thinking is called? Moving plus thinking is called, in Sanskrit, it is called Atman. Atman means moving and thinking. See, this is how the definition of Atman came into existence. Oh, My battery is becoming low. Oh, it's my iPad battery. Okay, sorry. Let me put it on charge. So it is the Atman which is moving and thinking. It is moving because of this consciousness. Now, all our activities, actions, thinking, every understanding, all our awareness is happening only because of this aware consciousness. A small layer, thin layer. If I have to kind of put it into a next picture, right? So this is my aware consciousness. I cannot select the colors for this. I should be able to. So this is my aware consciousness. And there is a subconsciousness below. This is subconsciousness. And there is the this supra consciousness above. So there is this supra consciousness above it. If you see this supra consciousness, I'm deliberately not giving any color to the supra consciousness. I'll tell you in a minute why. But in the supra consciousness, what's happening is there are many layers are getting formed. I mean, if you see, I mean, not in the supra consciousness, the subconsciousness, the layers after layers, very close by. Even the subconsciousness, which is supposedly available, is also not fully available because it is trapped in these layers. You see, the blue color is trapped in these layers of redness. And this, what we know this as the, you can, in Sanskrit, it is called, in Sanskrit, this layers are called. The consciousness is called Chit. Chit means consciousness, and Chitta means the memory of the consciousness. Memory of the consciousness. The or in heartfulness terms, this is called impressions. These impressions are formed because of our thinking and because of our actions. Here, thinking is synonymous to actions. So, because of our actions, all these impressions are formed. I'm kind of going into the real understanding of the karma theory here. But before we need to understand the karma, we need to understand the basic understanding of where this karma is coming from. Correct? So these impressions are getting formed as we uh, are as we are acting and thinking, all our interactions with the world, our emotions, our emotional feelings, our relationships, everything as a human being, as a conscious being, we have to interact with the world. We cannot stop it. But in turn, what they are adding is these impressions. So these impressions are the, if you ask me, these impressions are the true karma phala, what we call the result of action. From a mundane thinking, what is a karma phala? The result which the action is creating. People misunderstand. Suppose if I'm doing a job, I go to my company, my employer, and I work, and the employer pays me. Lot of times we understand that payment which I'm getting is a karma phala, or the reward of the karma. We are thinking it as karma phala. But truly speaking, in a very, I don't think Bhagwan, Lord Krishna, is speaking about karma phala in such mundane terms. Here, the karma phala is nothing but the residue which is created because of my action. This residue which is created because of my action on the layer of the consciousness. The residue is created because this consciousness is constantly moving, because subconsciousness is sort of is the past impressions. This is constantly moving, so that there is another layer, layer after layer is getting formed here. And you see these layers, what it is obstructing is basically
Rio, yo, plus you. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's
yeah, no problem. So because of this impressions which are being gathered, the consciousness is getting trapped. So this is a very important concept. If you understand this, there are a lot of things become very clear in our further topics. I can explain this it in many ways, but just for an understanding, let's understand these impressions are kind of trapping our consciousness. And as a result, even our available consciousness is becoming thin and thin. See, even in available consciousness, these layers are formed. In our available consciousness is also distorted because of these layers. So what is supposed to be the consciousness, which is supposed to be pure, is distorted right now. I won't call it impure, but it is distorted. So now it's all distortion is what is available to us. So this distortion or these impressions in Sanskrit terms, what is resulting is a vasana. So really speaking, if you go to any Advaitic, lecture, Swamiji's, when you listen, they say all this vasana is a problem. Suppose if you go to a doctor, you have a fever. Is fever the problem, or the infection which is causing the fever is the problem? If I take, Tylenol or Dolo, it will reduce the fever, but will it reduce the infection? It'll reduce the fever for a moment, maybe for a half a day. But as long as the infection is there, you keep getting the fever. It doesn't matter how many dolos you take. Correct? So what needs to be treated? The infection, which is root cause, which needs to be treated. No, what is the root cause for all these vasanas? All these impressions which are formed in the layer of consciousness is causing vasanas. So the whole problem is with this impressions which are created here. So what needs to be done, really speaking? Really speaking, these vasanas needs to be removed from this consciousness so that this consciousness becomes free. But regardless, how much ever this consciousness is becoming free, but still this is not adding anything, not much value to our life. What should really happen in this case is, it is not that the consciousness which should be increasing, but it is our it is our available consciousness should be increasing. It should be expanding like this. So when it expands, it cannot expand just in one direction. It will expand in both directions, into the supraconsciousness, into the subconsciousness. So if you see, really speaking, it is increasing, expanding in both directions. So this is the expansion which is happening here. So here, what is happening? The expansion plus thinking is what is happening. Now I'll tell you exactly where this akarma concept come into the picture. So here there is an expansion and thinking. You know what is expansion and thinking is called? In Sanskrit, expansion and thinking is called Brahman. Bruh plus man. Man means thinking, Bruh means expansion. That is why infinite consciousness Brahman, they say, Anantam, because this expansion is for the Brahman is Anantam. But when this Jiva is participating in this expansion, now Jiva transforms into Brahman. So the whole idea of evolving to a state of Brahman means really this expansion of consciousness. Okay, so this is Bruh plus Man, expansion. Now, because of the practices, whatever the spiritual practice I am undertaking, if it is contributing to this expansion, and also at the same time, if it is removing these layers, if these layers are being removed, and because of the layers are removed, the expansion is possible, then is this is what is in according to heartfulness, what is called the spiritual progress. Without this, the spiritual progress is not possible. Lot of times you will hear that, when your knowledge comes in, the ajnana goes away. But it doesn't work like that. When as much as if these impressions, the chitta is being cleaned out, the consciousness become pure, and that purity with the spiritual practice, with the aid of the guru, the Brahman expansion happens. Expansion of consciousness happens. And that is why we feel that progress, we recognize, we realize that progress. But as this expansion is happening, what is happening? Here, my awareness is increasing. When my awareness is increasing, when this is increasing, this is becoming plus and plus and plus. My whole aspect of the knowledge, jnana, what I can assimilate, what I can absorb, what I can become aware of is also expanding. So that means automatically here you can say my knowledge is increasing, my jnana is increasing. When my awareness is increasing, my sensitivity improves infinitely. I am basically connecting with the true nature, the true prakriti, and going beyond the prakriti. Otherwise, my whole when my this consciousness is very small, only is thin layer. When this in the thin layer of consciousness, my awareness is very small, and because of my awareness is very small, what I can absorb, what I can see, what I can feel, is also reduced significantly. If that awareness shrinks from this thin layer of awareness, even if it shrinks a little bit, then even though in a human form, I develop animal tendencies. What is animal tendencies? Animals are instinct. So they react to a situation. There's an instinct. There is no rationalization between in their action. So the fundamental difference between an animal and a human is human actions, there is some rationalization behind it. Whether it's good action or bad action, doesn't matter. There is certain rationalization applied before we take the action. But in animal action, there is no rationalization, they just react. So there is a thin line between sanity and insanity. If my consciousness shrinks a little bit, I become insane. In a human form, developing the animal tendency is called insanity. But for an animal, it's a natural thing. Animal is not insane. There is no animal in this world which is insane. But a human can become insane because the rationalization ability, the rationality is significantly reduced. So now the same consciousness, instead of shrinking, if it is expanding, did we lose somebody? Yeah, we lost Subbu. So if this consciousness is expanding, imagine what it can bring into your life. Okay. So now when we come into this from here, if we want to come into the concept of karma, what is karma is action. And how action is possible? Because of the thinking. It is not only because of the thinking, the Chetana Shakti, the power of consciousness is behind this action. And because it is emerging from this state of consciousness, if there are impressions added to this consciousness, if there are impressions in this consciousness, then this whole action is completely a distorted action. In this distorted action, I mean, there are some results, but the real result is more impressions. So more impressions is what is happening because of every action we perform. And where are these more impressions are getting stored? In the consciousness. So we keep on adding, through every action, we keep on adding impressions to this consciousness. In another sense, these impressions are what we call the karma we bring back into this life, or the karma we are accumulating. But here, the karma we are accumulating is different than the karma as an action. The karma we are accumulating are the impressions. And vasanas, all our desires, thinking, everything is because of these impressions. Okay. So how do we then what can we do about this action? We cannot stop action. There's no way to stop action. If I stop action, that means I'm as good as dead. Because all my bread and butter, everything is because of this action. What I'm doing as this presentation is an action. Everything is an action. So there is no way to escape this action. Okay. So are we good until this point? Now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Srikant, ఏమైనా questions ఉన్నాయో? Subbu and
Yeah, let's
Prabhu.
please interrupt me, if there are any questions.
No, I think the flow is good. Please go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, it's good.
okay. Now, there's another term we are talking about, Vikarma. Vikarma is nothing but, sometimes it is called intense action, or to me, the right definition of Vikarma is skilled action. When mind is in tune with this action. It's like when these basketball players, if you observe the kind of with the ease they play, right? It looks as if effortless, their play. The way they throw the ball, the way they catch, the way, they pot the ball. It is almost seems like, like a wave. So they're in tune with what's happening there. In tune, the mind is in tune with the action, the physical action. So this in tune action is skilled action, where it is an effortless action. So what the mind is striving, this thinking mind, Atman, the culmination of Atman is always trying to get into this effortless action. Means Babaji says our mind should be in tune with nature. When it is in tune with nature, the actions out of that mind are become effortless. This is what the whole thing is. So that's why skill in action, even Lord Krishna talks about in Gita. The skill in action, how does it happen is again, either it is constant practice of the action or the mind is sort of evolving to bring in this effortless action. So it's a repeated action, you can say, or an effortless action because of the skill. There is an evolution in the mind. That is Vikarma. So this from the karma, Vikarma is the next level. Now from going from Vikarma to Akarma is another level. So this was the question from our last discussion, is explain Akarma. And I shared that video also recording. I mean, you guys can hear it. So what is Akarma? So there, even karma or Vikarma, even the skilled action, both form, whether we like it or not, it forms impressions. So what is Akarma is, Akarma, a lot of people, Akarma in English, it is translated as non-action or inaction. Sorry, inaction. So how do you spell, how do you understand inaction? A lot of people misunderstood this concept of inaction. Means, Lord Krishna, Bhagavan said inaction means don't do anything, sit lazy. Just simply sit lazy and this inaction you achieve. That is not like that. Inaction is where action minus impressions means it doesn't form any impressions. No impressions because of that action is Akarma. So how is this possible? Any action has to create an impression. Then people have misunderstood how to have an action without impressions. They said, oh no, have a desireless, make the action desireless. That's one suggestion which came up. And then somebody thought, oh, it's not about the desirelessness. Think the Lord is himself is doing it. That means in Akarma, if I am the doer of the action, if I am the doer, if there is a doership is there. So in Akarma and Vikarma, in both the doership is there. Doership is always there. But in Vikarma, I am not the doer. I am not the doer. The Lord is the doer. Lord is the one performing this. Lord is the doer. But how is it possible? Am I not trying to fool myself, psych myself that Lord is the doer and I am not the doer and I'm still performing the actions? It's kind of a tough, then they say, this is where the bhakti comes in, all these ideas come in. But in heartfulness, we sort of do this, achieve this Akarma slightly differently. But all these concepts are there. I am not the doer is there, Lord is the doer is there. All these ideas are there. But there is a slight, refinement in understanding this Akarma. So what's happening? Like in the beginning, I said, the 5 minutes after the meditation are very important. 5 minutes after meditation is the most important moment. So what is happening after this 5 minutes after meditation is the meditative state we really experienced. Like I gave this example, for if you are deep asleep, when do you know that you are deep asleep? Only when you are awake, you'll say, my sleep was very deep. I had a deep sleep. We become aware of that deep sleep when you come out. So the meditative state, basically we become more aware of this meditative state. I mean, you might say there are a lot of thoughts during meditation, which is fine. But the real shift in that consciousness which takes place without our knowledge during meditation comes to awareness right after meditation. Right after you are ready to open your eyes. Right after meditation. So if I can take some time, 5 minutes time, pay attention to what is coming to your awareness right after meditation. Take 5 minutes. Then you basically assimilate this meditative state. So you sort of, it becomes aware. Now, if you, what you have assimilated, if you kind of make it yours, means keep that in your memory. Or if you say, remember it, this state is produced again and again. Suppose you ate a nice ice cream last weekend, and today you are thinking about the same ice cream. Are you not tasting the ice cream without even physically tasting it? That memory of the taste is coming back to you. You're basically tasting that ice cream in your mind. And then you say, okay, now I have to go buy this ice cream. You buy it and realize that memory again. Reinforce that memory again. So a memory of something which you have experienced, if you remember it, that it is repeated. So that means the meditative state is repeated. But in this meditative state, if I perform any action, somehow I don't own that action. The doership is gone. Automatically, when I can hold and bring this meditative state in every action becomes Akarma. And such action will not form any impressions. So that means I stop accumulating these impressions. So this is how Akarma is done for a meditator. Right? It's almost 30 minutes past. Maybe we can talk about the harmony and balance in our next session. But I'll stop here for any questions or comments, observations. You're on mute.
I think we have since we'll get the recording,
Yeah.
we'll just have a second run on it. And
Please.
in the next session, probably if still we have anything still not understood, then we'll see.
Absolutely.
Now the flow was clear.
Thank you.
There's absolutely nothing that, which is not clear about it. So, but then second look is what I feel is when you actually start sinking in information and then the doubt starts creeping in. And now look, everything looks like, okay, clear, I understood and all the stuff.
Trust me.
So I think
new information. For many people,
yeah.
even, I'll be sharing with few of my acquaintances. I can assure you it's a very new information for many people. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted
True.
you saying something. Sorry.
No. So that's what I'm saying. So while everything looked clear, I'm sure when I go for a second look, then the thoughts might come, with some doubts, which we'll actually raise in the next session, and then we'll clear it.
Sure. Thank you.
But for today, I think it looks all a smooth flow.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think I'll practice the consciousness actually. Once we practice that in terms of the consciousness side of it, the subconscious being aware of things, I think then probably I'm sure we'll have more questions. Yeah. as we practice. Yeah.
And then the practice part is the main thing. Understanding is one
Yeah.
part, but then to
Yeah.
practice it needs a lot of discipline and awareness and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, when last time this question came up, is practice requires discipline. I was kind of sharing this is not about discipline. This is about the need of the life. See, suppose if I stop my breath for a minute, I can probably stop it for a minute, and then the moment minute is over, I'm already gasping for it. I'm really looking for the next breath. Correct? Why? Because my body is telling me you need that breath. The system is made like that.
True.
The need kicks in, the absolute need kicks in. And same thing, when I'm hungry, I'm eating. We don't really think about how to be, like discipline about eating. I feel hungry, I eat. I feel thirsty, I take water. Like that, every need is prompting me to take certain action. Even without, I don't have to say, I'm going to eat dinner tonight at 8 o'clock. But at 8 o'clock, if I feel hungry, I'm already eating. So when a recognition of the need is there, that action automatically follows. It is not a disciplined action anymore, right? But what
But
happens?
that is the discipline of the heart.
Yeah,
That's the discipline of the systems which are built in.
Correct.
It's a God-given discipline, and you don't have any control on it.
Correct. Absolutely. That's where I'm getting at. Same thing with the meditation is the need of this inner soul. I'll kind of get into the technicalities of it in our next discussion. That's where I'm taking this whole discussion to, right? That need is so subtle. It is so subtle. Like the physical need is kicking in and other mental needs are kicking in. This need is there. We acknowledge it. But what we are doing is we are trying to fulfill it in the other way. It's like I'm thirsty. If I take Coke or alcohol, will it quench my thirst? There also I'm drinking something, but I'm not quenching my thirst. So to quench my thirst, I'm thinking because I'm assuming this thirst need is very subtle. It's not so physically tangible or mentally tangible. What will happen? Taking the alcohol gives me a temporary lull satisfaction that my thirst is quenched. So like this, the need is kicking in, but we don't know how to fulfill it. And we are diverting in many directions. We are creating passion. We are trying to entertain ourselves. We are trying to feel powerful. This power comes in many ways: power of knowledge, power of wealth, power of the body. We are trying to get a lot of things to satisfy that need. But yet we know it is not satisfied, but we keep on attempting in the same way to satisfy this need, inner need. But the inner need is there, some awareness is there. But when you really start with meditation, with the transmission, suddenly there is a certain, what do you call, when the thirst is quenched, you don't have to think about it. The need is fulfilled. Similarly, as we do the meditation, we know that this need is fulfilled. And then we know, okay, this meditation with the transmission pranahuti is quenching this inner need. Then the moment the need kicks in again, then you know what to do. You meditate. It just takes 1-2 weeks of practice to recognize this. But what you are truly doing through meditation is just not calming your mind, bringing some peace, and these are all very marketing buzzwords for the meditation. But the real thing which is happening in meditation is the inner need is quenched. The moment you recognize that, it takes only 2 weeks, trust me. It doesn't take years of practice, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you do it as much as with a discipline. Then after that, once you recognize the need, no discipline is required.
Hmm.
Okay.
Array, from a practical standpoint, I'll tell you that the day I don't meditate, the day I don't do things, the urge ఎంత ఉంటుందంటే it's like I don't know, it's same person, same situation, same the problem same solve now. But once I finish my meditation, there is an total different inner state that manifests the whole outer circumstances differently. And I can tell you by experience. అది నా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఏమి హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ వల్ల నాకేం సాల్వ్ అవ్వవు, నా సిచ్యువేషన్ చేంజ్ అవ్వదు, ఏం కాదు. బట్ మై హోల్ బీయింగ్, హౌ ఐ ఫీల్ అండ్ హౌ ఐ కండక్ట్ మై సెల్ఫ్, సో ఇవాళ నేను ఐ వాజ్ రెస్ట్లెస్, నాకు ఐ వాంటెడ్ ఏ సిట్టింగ్. నేను పొద్దున్నే లేసి మెడిటేషన్ చేసుకున్నాను. బట్ ఐ టోల్డ్ శ్రీకాంత్ ఐ వాంట్ ఏ సిట్టింగ్. అది జస్ట్ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ ఎంతో ఇచ్చాడు. ఇప్పుడు ఐఎమ్ ఎ టోటల్ డిఫరెంట్ పర్సన్ ఇన్ మై స్టేట్ ఆఫ్ మైండ్. అంటే అది మెడిటేషన్ తీసుకొస్తుంది నీకు ఆ సెన్స్ ఆఫ్ హ్యాపీనెస్, ఆ స్టేట్ ఆఫ్ క్వెంచింగ్ ది థర్స్ట్. ఇప్పుడు దాహం వేస్తే నీళ్ళు ఇస్తే ఎలా ఉంటది, అలా ఉంటది అనమాట నాకు ఇప్పుడు ఆఫ్టర్ దిస్ 30 minutes ఆఫ్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ది డిస్కషన్. జస్ట్ అంటే నేను ప్రాక్టికల్ గా చెప్తున్నాను. శ్రీకాంత్ ఇస్ మోర్ థియరీ అన్ని, అంటే థియరీ బాగా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాడు. అండ్ అరే, ఇది ఈస్ దిస్ వర్కింగ్ అవుట్ వెల్ ఫర్ యూ, శ్రీకాంత్ గివింగ్ ద సెషన్స్ like the theory, because Vedanta annaru kada meeru. So what do you guys think?
I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
Subbu, మీరంతా ఇంజనీర్లు కదరా, శ్రీకాంత్ ఇంజనీర్, సో కనెక్ట్ అవుతారు. నాదేముంది
బాబా, ఈ టాపిక్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ కాదు కదా.
కాదు.
ఒక ఇంజనీరింగ్
కాదురా, మీకు బుర్రలు ఎక్కువ ఉంటాయి, మాకు బుర్ర ఏముంటది, మేము బట్టి కొట్టే టైప్ అంతా.
అదే కదా ఈజీ. ఇక్కడికి వచ్చినప్పుడు బుర్రలు పక్కన పెట్టి రావాలి, అప్పుడే ఎంకుతుంది. మనం ఇఫ్ యువర్ కప్ ఇస్ ఫుల్ దెన్ ఇట్ గోస్ అబౌవ్ కదా.
Right.
All right. So very good, and
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks Srikanth for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks Subbu.